It is official. Bitcoin finally hit $100,000. You know, something Peter Schiff said would never happen. Well, Peter, if you're watching, you were wrong.
Oh, man, what a glorious day. $100,000 Bitcoin finally in the books. We talked about it last bull market cycle. In 2021, we said, hey, what is the top for Bitcoin? A lot of people threw out 150,000, 120,000. We know that the top never passed 70,000, but the time is here and it's early part of the bull market. So the fact that we hit $100,000 right now, shortly after the halving, with a lot more room to run for the bull market, means that there's $200,000, $300,000, maybe $400,000 Bitcoin, $500,000 Bitcoin on the table. We're going to give you our price predictions for tonight. What we think the year is going to look like for 2025. Where is the price predictions? What is your immediate number, or do you want to tease the viewer, Dave?
Well, I'll tell you my number, but I want to ask you first, because I'm sure there's some people watching. They're kind of confused. Like, where are we in the market cycle? Are we towards the beginning, the middle, the end? Where do you think we are in the market cycle?
I'd say we're about 20% into the bull market. I do think that we're going to get something similar to what we saw last cycle, where we get a top and then a major correction. What we'll look back in hindsight to say we had a double top or maybe a triple top. I do think that at some point Bitcoin will get massively overbought, and I think this is going to be off of the back of nation states adopting Bitcoin or having some kind of strategy for Bitcoin. I know that the U.S. has a Bitcoin strategic reserve, which we know that once Trump gets in office, Cynthia Lummis bill is going to hodl what we already have and then put the Bitcoin buying into effect. Basically, the U.S. is going to buy 1 million Bitcoin over the course of 5 years. So I do think that that's going to kick off a big price rally. And will we see $200,000, $300,000 Bitcoin see a sharp correction and then take off again and maybe get closer to that $500,000 Bitcoin? That is something that I'm thinking. I think that this cycle, my personal prediction is that we're going to see a triple top. And I do think this because there's going to be more volatility because of traditional finance. But I do think that buyers are going to come in and see the value of Bitcoin if it drops suddenly. So if you see a $220,000 Bitcoin and it sells off to, say, $120,000, I think that people are going to see the value in that and then come in as buyers and prop the price back up. And so I know we've talked about in the past that, hey, as Bitcoin grows and matures, there's going to be less volatility. But I do think that we're going to have one more massive volatile bull market coming up where we get some big ass price swings. And I think it's just because nations, institutions, retirement, hedge funds, they're all going to be dabbling in Bitcoin. And so do you want to take this quarter by quarter where you think the price will go, or do you want to?
You know, what I was planning on doing, the number I have in my head, and it's a pretty round number, I think is $500,000.
$500,000?
And it's a 5X from where we are now. And I know $500,000 sounds like a lot, but let me ask you a question. 5 years ago, when Bitcoin was at, I don't know, $5,000, $8,000, $9,000, $100,000 sounded like a lot of money. So where we are now, we're at $100,000. We're at 8-9 months post-halving. We have institutions that are absolutely buying every dip. And I've said it on our show, and I'll say it here. I do not think this market cycle we will see in any given pullback more than a 30% or more pullback. I don't. And the reason I say that is now that TradFi is here, we know they're buying because we see the inflows from the ETF. We also know they have a strategy, right? The way they work is they say, hey, 5% we want to allocate to Bitcoin in our portfolios. Great. When Bitcoin's price goes up, now that 5% in nominal value turns to 6-7%, and then they sell to readjust back down to 5. But on the flip side, if Bitcoin starts to go down 5%, 10%, and the portfolio shrinks from a 5% allocation down to a 3% allocation, they're now switching it and they're buying more to bring it back up to that 5%. We've seen it with the dips we had in Bitcoin when Bitcoin knocked on the door of $100,000, came back down to 95, and that dip was brought up so fast that we almost didn't even have time to tell you our almanac is live. And so if you want more, like as Rob mentioned, quarter to quarter prediction and reasons why we think Bitcoin gets to a certain price in 2025, it's all laid out in the first ever Crypto Almanac for 2025, comprehensive guide to everything you need to know and make money in the year 2025. The link is in the description of this video. And so that is my thing. So $500,000, I think TradFi gets us there. as Rob mentioned, I think the strategic reserve bill gets us there as well. You talked about 1 million Bitcoin in 5 years. That's 200,000 Bitcoin in 1 year. That's a lot of Bitcoin. And you're talking about a product, a commodity that cannot be made more of. You see, they found more gold, right? In China, I think like 2 billion or 2 million tons of gold or whatever that number was. You can't do that with Bitcoin. You can't just go around and find, oh, look, we minted more Bitcoin. You can't do that. It's a hard cap commodity. And so that's part of the reasons why I believe it's going to go to $500,000.
I think the $500,000 is such a massive psychological number, and it's pretty far away from where we're at now. I think by the time we start nearing the $500,000, I think that people start to sell. There's going to be a massive sell wall prior to that. So I'm not far off of where you're at. I would say probably $430,000 is my prediction for the top of the Bitcoin cycle. And when is that going to come in? When would you expect to see the Bitcoin hit all-time highs? Well, if you look at cycles past, it does come in the latter half of what would be next year. And so in 2025, we think that the Bitcoin top will probably come in around November or December, which gives you 1 full year to navigate and figure out, like, what is your exit strategy? Are you even planning on exiting, or are you going to hold even if Bitcoin's price does draw down? I do think, contrary to what my co-host David here, I do think we're going to get a big pullback. I think we're going to get that traditional bear market swing. And so will it be that 70% that we've seen historically? That I do not think will happen, but I do think that 50% pullback, perhaps 60% pullback is on the table. I think by minimum, I'm accounting for a 40% pullback at minimum from the top. And so if we do get that at $430,000 Bitcoin, I do think that we drop under 300,000. I do want to clarify my point. My point of the no 30% was during the bull market. You know how in past cycles we've seen price move up, with volatility and with momentum. So you do agree there's a bear market coming, and from the top we will.
I don't think we'll see 70, 80. I think you hit it right on the head. I think a 40 to 50.
Okay, so on the way up, you don't think there's going to be a big? You know what? I still think that the volatility will come in pretty heavy-handed with a triple top. I expect large pullbacks. But I mean, you know what? That is opinions, and nothing is set in stone. So we will see how 2025 plays out. I want to know, what is your prediction for the Bitcoin cycle? What is going to be the top? I want to know. Put your guesses or your estimates or your predictions or your opinions in the chat, and then when the top comes in next year, we're going to come back to the archives, and we're going to come back and we're going to see who was the closest.
We're going to give away, you know what? I'm going to announce it right now. We're going to give away $1,000 to the person who was the closest.
Okay, beautiful. All right, so put your price predictions in, and then I will say this. In 2026, in the very first week of 2026, we will look back at this video and we'll say who was the closest to our price prediction. We'll throw you $1,000.
The highest what Bitcoin got in 2025.
Yeah. The top.
$1,000, baby.
Yeah, I want to know what do you guys think, and then we'll come back to that. And I'm sure whoever is the closest will make sure that we that they come back to it.
Yeah.
So
I do want to say though, because I see a lot of people put multiples. Make sure you think about it before you put in, because the very first response is the one that we're going to take. So you can't keep putting.
If you put more than one, it's invalidated.
Yeah. So anyways, guys,
one response.
Exciting times are ahead. 2025, I believe, is going to be the best year we have ever seen for cryptocurrency. We've never been in a situation like this where Wall Street is here. We have the most pro-government in the history of the United States in office starting January 20th. From the SEC to the FCC to the OCC to the president, everyone is hyper bullish on Bitcoin and our space as a whole. So there is no reason to not be bullish. And we're excited to take this journey with you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and also come check out our live show Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On behalf of myself and Robin, we thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.